Okay, we're back, and in this video I'm gonna present to you the Linux directory hierarchy. So if you're a regular Windows user, you probably know what you're gonna find when you access the C drive on your operating system. The default Windows component folders are usually program files, 64-bit and 32-bit versions, the users folder, and of course the Windows operating system folder. Now let's look at what the Linux directory hierarchy looks like. So let's start by looking at this graph and explaining the role of each individual folder you will come across. So let's start with bin. Bin is short for binaries, and it contains ready to run programs, also known as executables, including most of the basic Unix commands such as ls or copy, cp. And most of these programs are binary, compiled with a C compiler, or they can also be scripts in more modern versions of operating systems. The second folder is called dev, short for devices. And in this folder, the operating system basically stores every hardware component that you install on your physical computer. This is the place where the information for every particular component is stored. Next we have etc. In this folder you find core system information settings such as user passwords, boot files, networking, and other setup files. The next folder on our list is the home directory, which contains the personal files and folders for individual users. Next we have the lib directory, short for library, and this folder contains static library files containing code that executables can use. Next we have sbin. This contains system executables that are used for system management, and if you're a normal user you won't have access to these executable files. You need to be logged in as a system administrator in order to run these types of management executables. Next we have the temp file. Temp, of course, being short for temporary. And here the operating system can store temporary files that you as a user don't care that much about. A normal user can read and write files in the temp folder, but he may not modify a temp file running by another user. And it's important not to place any important files in the temp folder, because usually at each startup the operating system clears everything stored in the temp folder. And the final root folder is var, short for variable, and here you usually find things like program records, log files, and other things that system programs create. But unlike the temp folder, the system doesn't wipe them on each boot. Other root subdirectories you may find are the boot directory, which contains the kernel bootloader files, and they help at the very first stage of the Linux startup process when you turn on your computer. Next you can find the folder called media, which is a base attachment point for removable media such as flash drives that can be found in many distributions. And then we have the OPT folder that can contain additional third-party software in rare instances. And the final folder you should know about is the user folder, which contains other important subfolders such as info, local, main, and share. There are several other administrative folders that you don't really need to worry about right now, but I'm gonna show them just for your information. There's a proc folder in which the information of every process that's currently running on your operating system is stored. So when you input a command that's used to show all the processes currently running on your operating system, much like Task Manager is for Windows, that information will be pulled from this folder. Next you have the root directory, Root being a unique and special user because it's the only user on Linux that has full administrative privileges. So with root, you can do basically whatever you want to do OS. And we'll talk more about root and users in general in future videos. Next we have the mounts directory, which is similar to the media one. The difference is that devices are mounted automatically to this folder. The administrator uses it to manually mount file systems when needed. And the final administrative folder is called SRV, short for service, used for running various services that usually are set up on Linux servers. And again, we'll have a more in-depth discussion about them in future videos. Right now you should focus on learning about the main folders displayed in the earlier graph at the beginning of this video. Feel free to skip back at any point in this video and pause it if you need to read the description of each folder again. And once you grasp the basic concept of each individual folder's role, I will see you in the next video.